You think the firemen knew something was up?
New York City Fire Department knows exactly what happened, and they've been told, not to comment on it. They know. Osama bin Laden worked for the Central Intelligence Agency in Afghanistan. He helped us fight the Russians when they were in Afghanistan.
Okay.
He was a CIA operative. The CIA helped orchestrate 9/11. It was their plan. 9/11 is the biggest lie of our lifetimes.
Taylor Oliveira again makes a quite astonishing investigation about major events around the world, and this time it is about the 9/11, by interviewing people who were involved at the scene directly.
I'm no conspiracy theorist, but hear me out. George Bush, 9/11. On the day before 9/11, the Secretary of Defense, David Rumsfeld, reported that the Pentagon somehow lost $2.3 trillion. How did they make the public forget about this missing money? See this plane? 9/11, but who am I kidding? The government can print money, who cares? So in addition to the 2.3 trillion missing dollars, many believe that the Twin Towers and Building 7 were the result of a controlled demolition, not the impact of a plane. Let's say George Bush was evil enough to pull this all off. Why? Many believe that Building 7 was a secret headquarters for the entire plan related to 9/11. Seem a bit far-fetched? Maybe. I know nothing, but what if I talked to a first responder on 9/11 who was the New York Fire Commissioner? Let me introduce Chris Joya. Chris, who are you?
I'm an ex-chief in the Franklin Square and Munson Fire Department.
For a variety of reasons you're about to explain, you believe it may have been a false flag?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and what is a false flag?
False flag operation is an operation that was conducted by a government and to make it seem that some group or entities committed some acts which require the government to attack a country. Thomas Hetzel was a member of this department.
Right there.
Yes, and he was killed in the towers. We lost a lot of friends.
Yeah. You were on site that day.
I was working across the river doing my construction job, and then the fire department got called to duty to assist. Within a couple of days, we wound up down at ground zero. That's me, almost 20 years ago. This is what I saw, and then there's this South Tower coming down.
How did you come to the conclusion that 9/11 was a false flag?
For the first 10 years, I did not think anything other than the official narrative. Then, after being shown a close-up video of building number 7 coming down, and that got me going, because it's obvious to me that building 7 was a controlled demolition, because the building collapses from the bottom down.
Can you basically break down your experience in firefighting and construction for us?
Okay, I've been involved with heavy construction for over 30 years. Been involved with the constructions of high-rise steel frame buildings in Manhattan. I've worked on bridges, and I know what goes into these buildings. I know what fire loads that they can handle, how fire is going to act. The trade centers were unique in that they were designed to withstand the impact of a jet. From what I understand, the outer skeleton of the building, the outer columns was like a fishnet, and you had these inner core columns which were substantial, thick steel beams to withstand 4 or 5 times what the loads were. The engineers always over-design a building. No steel frame building has ever collapsed before or since 9/11. So that should say something right there. And it said that building 7, it was a progressive collapse, that it was caused by fire. But progressive collapse, unlike the Twin Towers collapse from the top down. That's a progressive collapse.
Sure.
Floor by floor by floor. But if you look at the videos of Building 7 collapsing, it collapses uniformly. It's collapsing from the bottom. The building stays intact all the way to the bottom of the ground, and you could see the sides caving in on it. For a building to collapse uniformly, which the videos show, all the load-bearing columns would have had to have failed simultaneously. Now, fire doesn't act like that. I came across an analogy of the Twin Towers, and if you could visualize cast iron stoves stacked one on top of each other. The stoves up at the top, yes, there's fire and they've been damaged, but the stoves on the bottom, they haven't been damaged.
Okay.
So the structure underneath all of that is intact. So it's impossible for a building to collapse near free fall speed and increase
Without a controlled demolition.
you're running into the path of most resistance. So
I see.
something else is going on. I don't believe that it was just the planes or the fires. I think that, and they examined the dust and they found what they call thermitic material, which is like an explosive incendiary, which was in the dust samples, and that's documented. There were reports of the buildings were undergoing an extensive elevator renovation in the 2 or 3 years prior to. All kinds of workers, they had access to the cores of the building. And on the day of the attack, the elevator company would not assist in the operations of the elevators. And the elevator company it subsequently went out of business. And a couple of years after that, the information is out there. At one time when I was heavily engaged in trying to get a new investigation, I definitely felt threatened. I felt threatened from my family, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. You have sworn testimonies from firefighters regarding explosions in the building. They were suppressed. Just somebody making a statement, especially from firemen and police, if they make a statement, I heard an explosion, that's grounds to initiate an investigation. The firefighters, a bomb went off. This is their own words, made that day. They just ignored it. Just like Building 7 was ignored in the 9/11 Commission report. It's not in there, like it never happened.
You think the firemen knew something was up?
New York City Fire Department knows exactly what happened, and they've been told, not to comment on it. They know. These are my brothers.
It's your family.
These are the guys I went to fight fires
Yep.
with. These are the guys I grew up with. They don't see how, when you lose my friend Mike Kiefer, he was the only son. He was going to get married. He had a whole life ahead of him. His parents were devastated. So you have all this, collateral damage on top of that people don't see that. And it just infuriates me that something like this could take place. These people that did it don't even care about that, You killed some of the best people in this country. You murdered them.
They were collateral damage in the government's plot to have an excuse to start a
an
war.
excuse.
What do you think Al-Qaeda's role in all of this was?
I think Al-Qaeda is made up. The FBI came out, I believe it was 2006, and actually said, this is verifiable, they had no concrete evidence linking Osama bin Laden with 9/11. Osama bin Laden worked for the Central Intelligence Agency in Afghanistan. He helped us fight the Russians when they were in Afghanistan.
Okay.
He was a CIA operative. CIA helped orchestrate 9/11. It was their plan. George Bush's father was having lunch with Osama bin Laden's brother or cousin that day or the day before 9/11. So there's some business dealings going on that they don't even talk about. Another fact that can be verified. After 9/11, they shut down air traffic for a few days. No planes were allowed to fly. The only plane that was allowed to fly was bin Laden's family. They put them on government jets and flew them out of the country. They let them go. They set up bin Laden to take the fall for this.
Why would the government want 9/11 to happen?
Well, first and foremost, we were going to exert our influence over the whole world.
American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
Iraq and Libya, they're sitting on oil reserves. So we went into Iraq. We took their resources. There's tremendous money at stake here. This is all about the money.
So what role do you think George Bush had to do with this event, if at all?
I think George Bush went along for the ride. I think the real perpetrator, the real culprit behind it is the former Vice President, Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney, I would call Darth Vader. Dick Cheney was in charge of everything. He took control of the military prior to and on that day, and he choreographed. The Pentagon, just so you viewers know, is the most heavily defended building in the world. The pilot who allegedly was piloting the plane that crashed into the Pentagon, his name was Hani Hanjour, and he, according to the 9/11 Commission, was the worst pilot out of the bunch. Now, they supposedly were training on Cessnas. So he went to this flight school, and he was such a poor pilot that the instructors wouldn't even certify him on flying a single-engine propeller plane. Yet, he is supposed to have taken this commercial jetliner and done some aerobatic maneuvers to bring it in almost ground level and go into the side of the Pentagon. So at the time, it had an active surface-to-air missile defense, so they could shoot down incoming planes. There are more security cameras around the Pentagon, even back then. The FBI confiscated between 80 to 90 videos they have of what hit the Pentagon. They won't release it. Like I said, the more you investigate, the more you don't want to look at it. 9/11 is the biggest lie of our lifetimes.
The main questions conspiracy theorists have is, where did the evidence of the plane existing even go? How could the explosion of the plane have been so big that it left behind such little evidence? Why would they jeopardize the plane hitting the Capitol? It is not insane to think that George Bush, as an example, would use 9/11 as a false flag to initiate war in Afghanistan, and then eventually Iraq. And ironically, guess where the Bush family's money comes from? Oil. Guess what they found in Afghanistan? Oil. Guess what they found in Iraq? Oil.